just can't start the day fooling around on my farm till I watch coastal sunrise on TV. I love that one.
You are listening to the irrepressible Vic Waters, who lives right around here in Crescent, Georgia. Vic has been writing and singing songs since his high school days here at Benedictine in Savannah. A few weeks ago, he took some time out to talk to us about his life and his music.
My dad played the guitar. He's dead now, and but he played the guitar and sang country music. And my uncle Winton Waters, he was my dad's brother, played the fiddle. And when I was just a little boy, like this, they would play, and I would notice that everybody around would be just looking dead at them. You know, just wouldn't take their eyes off of playing them guitars and fiddles. And I said, hey, that's me. I want to do that. My granddaddy Bob told me one time, he says, boy, you better keep playing that piano because you're too scared to steal and too sorry to work. I liked playing that guitar, playing the piano, and not having to work so hard. Well, see, I spent my youth retired. I retired up till now. I was running wild, playing loud music when I was in about the 7th and 8th grade, and so my family sent me up to Savannah. I went to Benedictine. I remember one time I told my mama I was going to some kind of church. I told the biggest lie in the world. I got caught with it. I told my mama, I was about 14 years old, 15. I said I was going to a church meeting thing, and I went over here to Shellman Bluff to a place called the Shellmar Club. And there was a band playing, and they had called me that afternoon. The band was from Savannah, and they said, our piano player's sick or hurt or something. And I said, we need a piano player for the night. And it was a Saturday night, and I told my mom that I was going to some kind of deal over the skating rink with my church that I went to, and I headed straight to the Shellmar Club, and I was playing music, and my aunt and uncle came in.
What did you do? You were on the
They came in, they said, my aunt says, what are you doing up there? Just what in the world are you doing up there? I said, I don't know what I'm doing up here, but I was nailed. I was about 15 or 14, I guess. But they nailed me, they caught me, and I got in trouble. But nothing came of it. My mom just says, you ought not to be doing that. When I got out of high school in Savannah, I went to St. Pete to play in a rock and roll band. I just liked to play music so much that anytime a band would ask me, I was in. You know, yep, count me in. And when I found out people would give you money for it, I just didn't know what to do, because I'd have done it for free. If they'd asked me, you know, I'd have said, yeah, let's go play. But I found out people had actually got paid for that, and so from there on out, it was it. I was almost famous. I was almost famous. You know, one time I was signed with King Records, James Brown record label that he was on. And right after my band signed a 5-year contract with them, we were supposed to be the new Beach Boys. I had a group called the Impacts, and we were going to be the hot new thing. And they had a big payola scandal. And Dick Clark and a whole bunch of people got indicted for accepting money. Remember that? Way back in the early 60s, yeah. Oh, everybody got indicted that was in the music, I mean, that was in the record playing industry. And found out that the man who turned them all in was Sid Nathan, who owned King Records. So they started breaking all his records and throwing them in the trash, and nobody would play our records anymore because of who we were affiliated with. So my stardom kind of went down the tubes on that.
And what was your reaction then? Were you just mad as a horse?
No, because I think that stardom is kind of squirrely anyway, you know. This is when I worked with a midget. Louis Carey, this guy, he did a Fruit of the Loom commercial. He was a little midget, and he had grapes on his head. He was a grape. And oh, God, he was the funniest little guy.
What did he do? Was he a little comedian?
Yeah, and he played trumpet. He had a little trumpet about this long, and he was a great trumpet player. And he, 45 inches tall. And he had him a big old Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham, and he had blocks built up on the brake and the accelerator, and he'd ride, sit on a pillow, and he'd ride down the street. Look at that hair.
What do you call that, a pompadour?
I don't know what you call that. I'd rather call it from afar.
You don't like the way you look back then?
Oh, don't you? I look like a clown. But I think everybody did. Well, I'm just an old hippie now, I guess. Old hippies never die. Crazy things I've done. I played this prison job in Tallahassee, and I had written a song called The Saga of the Great Sapelo Bust. And it was about a marijuana bust that went down at Sutherland's Bluff. And what had happened, this was back when our Sheriff Tom Popple was still alive down here, and all the DEA and everything had come in real secretive to bust this boat. Somebody had told on them, and the customs agents, and Tom Popple's sheriff's office was out there to bust the boat, but he didn't know about the DEA being there, and they didn't know about him being there. And see, all the DEA guys, they all had long hair, you know, and looked like a bunch of hippies running around, but they had a badge. And if all the sheriff's department guys, you know, they just looked like shrimp fishermen, and they had badges. And the only people that knew what they were doing were the smugglers. And so I wrote this song about it. And I was performing the song down at Tallahassee, and a guy out in the audience, he went, "Hey, that's where I got busted." So that was it. That song, that's me. The song was There was a full moon shining on the river when the boat came in with the goods. The high sheriff was hiding in the marsh grass. It's hard to just dream up something to write about that hadn't just been written to death. You know, you can only write so many of those "I love you, do you love me" songs because, you know, they're real. You know, you sit up there sometimes on that stage and you think maybe that nobody is appreciating you. You know, maybe you got one of those kind of nights. You got a room full of convictioners, you know, these guys, and they're all screaming and drunk and nobody cares what you're playing. And you think, why am I doing this? And I tell them to look around the room, and for every 500 people in that building, they ain't 3 in there can do what you're doing. You know, you can do something. You can play music and sing a song, and these people can't. Maybe they don't like what you're playing, but they can't play it. And so at least you got something, you know. Every time I go up there, I still get nervous every time I go on stage until after about the second song in, I'm all right. But that first song, I always wonder, are they going to hate me? And on and on and on. But anyway, one of the prisoners was there, and he thought that was pretty neat when he heard that song. You just, number one, you just can't put a fence around music, you know, and by saying, like if somebody says, I can't stand this new stuff, what they're really saying is, I heard something I didn't like, you know.
Something I'm not used to.
Something I'm not used to and something I can't handle. They don't know how to listen to new stuff, you know. And people ask me what kind of music I do. I do a little bit of everything, I guess. I try to just American music. It's not really rock and roll. It's not country music. It's not just stone rhythm and blues. It's just sort of American music. I like about everything. I get along good with the world. The world gets along good with me. 7 o'clock in the morning, I don't want to listen to Van Halen. You know, it just could be a little busy for my coffee. I want to hear something a little more, you know, like the Crusaders. But there's a time and place for all music. And I'll tell you what I do on Sunday morning is I'll get up and I'll go in there and put on an Andre Crouch album or Aretha Franklin's live at the First Baptist Church in Atlanta. They get me some coffee, and I can sit right out there, and I know there's a God. Born and raised on the Sapelo River, I left to get some schooling. But now I'm back and I realize I'm the only one I was fooling. Sapelo River, take me home, let me fish you one more time. Sapelo River, take me home, you are a friend of mine. I remember Hunter Forsyth was his name. He taught me how to rock and roll. He used to drive a panel truck. Lord, he sure could play a piano. We'd rock and roll on Sundays with Jack and his daddy Vern. Jack showed me how to pick a guitar, Lord, but it sure was slow to learn. Sapelo River, take me home, let me fish you one more time. Sapelo River, take me home, you are a friend of mine. I got two good boys. They're doing real well. And my kids, I think they respect me because I taught them how to do something they like. I taught them how to play music, and now they're getting better than me. You know, I got those same kind of aspirations like every father in the world. I wanted my kids to be, you know, a heart surgeon and F. Lee Bailey, you know, instead of a drummer and a bass player. But I'm afraid they got it in their blood. Take me home, let me fish you one more time. Sapelo River, I'm still alive. I don't have any major illnesses that I'm thinking of, so I'm just glad to be waking up every day breathing. So like a friend of mine, Jack Dent, said, if I'd have known I was going to live this long, I'd have took better care of myself. Let me tell you this story about this song, man. I was fishing in this river one day, right down the river from my house here. And this man had dumped a lot of old pickup trucks and cars into the river to keep his land from eroding. And I was fishing and something got a hold of my line and just wheeled it out like this, and I reeled it back in a little ways and it would just go out again. So I couldn't land the fish, but I knew I had Jaws 5 at least, so I tied the line off on my dock. And I got my snorkel and my mask and I swam down to the end of the line, and I'd hooked into a big catfish about this big. And he had swam inside of one of those pickup trucks, and every time I tried to reel him in, he would roll up the window. Goodbye, folks.
That's Vic Waters. He's a wonderful guy, and he will take you out to lunch if he likes you. In just a minute, Andrea Ashford will have a look at your weather. Stay with us.
63. Wait a minute. No, 64. Well, it's early in the morning, can't find my coffee cup. My wife's in the kitchen, gonna fill it on up. I'm late for work again, you see, but I gotta watch Coastal Sunrise on TV. Let's do something schmaltzy here, like. There's nothing quite like a sunrise on coastal Georgia.